Kalimera, kalispera, kalinichta, no matter where in this weird and wonderful world you might be. Thank you for making the Highbury Squad part of your day. Happy International Women's Day to all of the rock stars out there. Here we go.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
Good evening, boys and girls. Welcome to another live edition of the Highbury Squad. It's a bonus episode, just like a Super Kev bonus question for the week. Thought we would jump on and talk about a couple of key things. And here with me once again is my podcast brother from another mother, Mr. Super Kevin Campbell.
Squaddies, good evening, and I hope you had a wonderful Wednesday. At ease, squaddies. Let's do it.
All right, let's rock and roll. Let's do this. As always, thanks so much to our friend ZENITH Coins for being our partner this season. A wonderful relationship. You guys are absolutely loving this. And so are we. Don't forget to visit zenithcoins.com. Get your Arsenal coin. It's the gift that keeps on giving. All right, Super Kev, let's get stuck into
They're
some.
out.
Are they? Has it happened?
Yeah.
Yes, I get to post my curse video again. Every season, Kev, I wait and I wait. So I had the unsavory task of covering them when they came here on tour about 5 years ago. Pochettino was still manager and they came to LA Galaxy's ground. And I sat in the stands. So, I'm doing some bits and bobs for a couple of outlets. And then at the very end, like the whole team are in the center circle with Pochettino. They're doing their thing, Kev. And I rolled the tape and basically I put a little bit of a Greek fun curse on them that they'll never, ever win a trophy ever again. And it has worked like a charm every year since. Newsflash. There you go.
Well, hey, long may it continue.
Long may it continue. Good night, Tottenham, says Trev. Out, says Matty K. Brady's banana. This is a nice surprise. I was about to go to bed. Exactly. We like to pull off the surprises every now and again. We got Earl, we got Demsek, we got Lynn, Ayushman, we have Ian, we have QA. We have everyone in the house. Trev is here, Tom is here, Carol's here. The whole family is here. Raid, everyone. Super Kev. So the headlines that are exciting for the Arsenal fans over the last couple of days are no doubt the return of Jesus. It's been a very exciting sight to see, and it is something that we have been waiting for, and it is and feels like we're getting a trump card a little bit here for the rest of the season. I wanted to share some bits with you, Kev, before you take us into the mind of a striker when you've had an injury like that and you're coming back, especially when literally you were the player of the team. At the start of the season, Opta did an assessment on who they think would be the leading scorers in the Premier League. And the names that came up in their piece were Salah, Kane, Haaland, Nunez, Son, and Gabriel Jesus. And what I found really interesting, Kev, was when you look at his numbers. So they did this article on August 5th. And I found this really fascinating, in particular in terms of minutes per goal versus the involvement ratio. When you see some of the names on this list, as you can see people, and if you can't, it's Thierry Henry, Sergio Aguero, Salah, Robin van Persie, Luis Suarez, Harry Kane, and then Gabriel Jesus, followed by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Lucas Podolski on that list, and Eric Cantona. When you look at his goal ratio at Manchester City, some have questioned, Kev, that in the last two season numbers were down. He did have a couple of injuries and he didn't start as many games. But my goodness, when he started games, I think he scored something like 53 goals. He has been a huge influence on this team. We have seen him in the huddle. We have seen him be a captain without having the armband. Take us into the mind of the striker and what it means, firstly, to him as a player to come back and still have a part to play in the end of the season.
I think when he got injured, I think it was going into the unknown, because he's obviously been brought in. He's one of the leaders. We know that. He's the one of the guys who are going to try and help everybody else get over the line mentally, because he's won it so many times. He knows what's required, etc. It was up in the air whether we were even going to stay in contention, because you know what we discussed it here, Sophie. We weren't sure whether Eddie was going to make an impact. We weren't sure if we were going to buy anybody in the window. We weren't sure on so many different things. So the fact of the matter is, he's there. He's injured. He can't contribute, and it's probably the worst thing for a footballer. You become a fan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a fan. You're there and you're watching the games and you see him in the tunnel and you see him congratulating the team. He's trying to get that connection. He's trying to get his little bit of leadership across. But there's nothing like playing, Soph. So the fact of the matter is, the team had their blip. They're hanging on in there. They're still top of the league. As long as they were in contention, I'm sure he would be happy. But the fact of the matter is, they're top of the league. He's worked his socks off to get back to this point. Now he's training with the squad.
Mm-hmm.
It's there for him now. And I know we have to take our time with him, because we can't just rush him back and expect him to be at that level. But that's what we want. We want Jesus back and at that level quickly as we can. So however the manager's going to do it, I believe I think we discussed it on Monday. So after the international break, I think that's the one, isn't it? That's where there might be a couple of behind closed doors games organized where he could really ramp it up and really get up to speed. But listen, if he's training, if he's doing his bits, he's probably going to travel out to Portugal, but maybe not be involved, or whatever. I don't know. But the player in his head, I'm back. I'm back. I'm back to take the mantle to get this team over the line. And April is where we're really gonna need him.
It really feels like one of those hold my beer moments, doesn't it? Thanks for stepping in, everyone. Hold my beer. I got it from here. He's desperate to have, because Kev, talk to me as a player. If you don't play as much, but you're part of a League Cup winning team, an FA Cup winning team, a Championship winning team, do you feel as part of it? Like for Jesus, he's done so much this season that he can feel part of it. God forbid, let's just say that he wasn't going to come back for the rest of the season. As not every player is John Terry, right? That jumps in and lifts the cup, even though they didn't play in the final. But he had a huge part to play in their season getting there. How do players really see that? Does he feel like, I need to get back in and make a contribution people may have forgotten?
No, he's the leader. He's a leader. So when you're a leader, you want to... It's different if you can't. It's different if you're injured and you can't play. But the key is everybody has to contribute. And so the ones who maybe don't get the plaudits are the ones who train every week, maybe sit on the bench and don't play, but they're always there for the team because it's a squad thing. They're the ones who everybody has to love, because when you're playing, that's the easy. Believe it or not, that's the easy part, because you can do something about it. When you're on the sideline and you're not involved, and then you have to do the extra running at the end. You have to come in on other days where the team ain't in and all that kind of thing. If those guys aren't happy, that's where you don't have a balance in a good balance in the dressing room.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus has been on the flip side, but he's still got such a big part to play.
I agree. Now, I wanted to read this out to you as well, Kev. I'm going to put this back up just before we move on to the next bit about him. So there's little doubt that Jesus knows where the goal is. His average minutes per goal ratio of 107 is only bettered by 6 players. You can see those 6 players to have played at least 2,000 minutes of Premier League football. Now, listen to this, Kev. Say that the new Arsenal striker was to play 2,800 of their possible 3,420 Premier League minutes in 22-23. Then that minutes per goal average would bring him to 26, a tally that would have been enough to secure the golden boot in each of the last 4 seasons. I think sometimes people underestimate him a little bit. And Kev, that's expected when you play in a team at City and you play for Pep Guardiola. You're generally, there's 2 or 3 players that are guaranteed to start every single game. He likes to tinker a lot. He likes to play things around. And especially when you had Aguero ahead of you, and the forces that come from the flanks scoring goals at City as well, Kev, perhaps, Jesus's numbers would be even higher than that.
Yeah, the difficult part sometimes is when you've got a squad full of top players, the manager can tinker as much as he wants. The manager can shuffle the pack and still get the victories. I think that's important for a manager like Pep. Yeah, Jesus would have probably played a lot more games and got a lot more goals. But at Manchester City, we've seen it. It's a squad game, that's for sure. It really is a squad game. Since you think about it, since Aguero's not been there, it's really been a squad game because they've played false nines. They've played forwards, and he's been the wide of the forwards a lot of the time. In Champions League, he's played through the middle and caused havoc. So he's played all the positions. He's been on the bench. He's played up front. He's played wide both sides and made a difference. And him coming to Arsenal, as we know, is his breakout. This is his breakout season. Got injured. And, we saw a player, let's be honest, in the first half of the season, we saw a player. If Jesus would have had 15 goals under his belt, that would have been just about right. Because he was sensational. He was unbelievable. Yeah, his finishing weren't great at times. And you know what? A lot of the time, the shots were saved or blocked. It wasn't as if he was missing the target. So he
just
was
a couple times.
He was hitting the target, but generally he was hitting the target and the keeper was saving it or it was getting blocked or whatever. Yeah, you needed better finishing, etc. But the difference he made to us as a striker, as a forward, being able to hold the ball, carry the ball, beat players, bring people into the game. The movement with Martinelli really showed up as well. The movement with Xhaka and Zinchenko, that really triggered, because obviously Jesus knows Zinchenko. Zinchenko knows his game. A lot of the time he came wide, got the ball, a bit like Trossard. But I think Jesus is a lot more dynamic. He's a lot more direct. He's quicker. And he's as I said, he's a bit more direct. So when he picks the ball up and he plays it, he's going for goal. Causes a massive problem for defenders. So we've got that all to come. We just need him. We need to make sure he's right. We need to make sure he's fit. But he's got a huge part to play for us, Soph.
I agree with you completely. Not because I want Jorginho to start, but I would definitely love to see, when you were just talking about Jesus there, how he loves to receive the ball quickly, turn, move. I mean, he hustles, he presses. To see a Jorginho quick fire pass to Jesus the same way every time, Kev, how many of those 56 or how many 58 goals were delivered by a De Bruyne, a quick pass, a Mahrez quick pass, just quick passes? That might be something that's fun to see when Jorginho also plays. But I wanted to put this up here for you as well, Kev, because these are his goals. And this little heat map here tells us, in terms of the goals per 90, how many minutes, and then where they came from and which part of the body. 10 headers, 16 with his left foot, 32 with his right foot. And I guess that's 0 with the nose, chest, and butt at the bottom there, Super Kev. But very much, you know how we talk about Eddie being the fox in the box. And there's this idea because, Jesus is Brazilian, perhaps, that he scores a lot more glamorous goals. This is a very interesting scenario here as a striker. What do you make of this?
That says to me, we've heard it being said about fox in the box, but someone who operates inside the box, inside the 18-yard box, inside the 6-yard box. That's the predator. That's a predator right there. And being a predator, we've called out for that for a number of years. But isn't it funny, Sophie? You see his goals, but you don't see his heat map. His goals are in there.
Right.
His heat map is everywhere.
Yes.
But that just goes to show what an effective player he is.
Yes.
What a real effective player he is. Brilliant player. We
did the heat map a little bit after the injury, and we were showing the concerns and looking at what he covers. And it's extraordinary. And it's really, to me, the fascination was to see where the goals have come from. I just thought this was, really interesting. And I think it bodes well now when we do have a quick passer like Jorginho in the team. It's almost like he's educated Martinelli and Saka the start of this season, Kev, and they kept that machine rolling.
Hold on, Soph.
Mm-hmm.
Forget Jorginho. We were top of the league before Jorginho.
No, I'm saying now.
I'm not, and I'm saying we were doing just fine. So Jorginho will be just fine with him. We know that, but I tell you this much: just look at that heat map. Look at that map where he scores his goals again. We could do with that now.
Mm-hmm.
We could do with somebody in the box
who
causes mayhem, and the defenders have to mark him.
Yes.
That's the other thing. You have to legislate for him. You can't leave him. If you leave him, you're done. So that then leaves more space for Martinelli and Saka. Xhaka moving up, Ødegaard. That's why they were having their fill, weren't they? They were having their fill.
Yes.
When Jesus was there.
So, Kev, you touched on it briefly. To end the Jesus conversation, the title, The Second Coming, I truly feel like he wants to do so much and so well that he's going to come out like a caged animal. Arteta's going to have to manage him and Zinchenko, the two of them, Martinelli as well, like their hearts all burst from passion and enthusiasm. Does he play tomorrow? Does he come on?
Okay. I don't think he does, if I'm honest with you. I think he's still a little bit too soon. He's only just started training fully with the team. So I think you leave him involved and you train and all that kind of thing. But I don't think you have to risk him yet. No, don't think you need to risk him yet.
Okay, so, and with that said, when you say we don't have to risk him yet, the question I want to end with is, he's available. There's 12 games left. You're the manager. You're Mikel Arteta. How are you managing this situationally, game by game, Kev? Of course, you're going to look at the opponent. You're going to look at what's in front of you. But when now you've got the chaos and the confusion with throwing Trossard up there, Eddie still not ready to come back. Martinelli's shifted into that 9 role as well. Now Jesus is back and available. How are you managing Premier League, Europa League?
I wouldn't quite say back. I wouldn't quite say available. He's back training.
Okay.
But that's why I don't think he'll be involved tomorrow. Hey, I might be completely wrong, so if I'm honest. But I just think with the manager, the way the games are panning out, there's a perfect opportunity to get Jesus up to speed when we come out of that international break. And then when he comes out the international break, he's ready to go then. So do we need to move? I know there's a couple of injuries but I think we could get away with that. We could get away with Martinelli playing up there. We could get away with certain things like that. I know we're not blessed with too many forwards right now because having two injured or two injured and one just coming back, I don't think we take the chance. Again, listen, it's one of those things. If ever Martinelli got a little knock, then I think we might see a false nine in Smith Rowe or something. Because could you imagine we take the risk, put him in, Sophie, and he picks up a knock?
Yeah.
We're going to be going crazy saying, why are we risking him in these games?
Yeah, I agree.
Let's get him right. So let's get him right because we know the run-in is, we're in it now. You know, there's 12 league games to go. And we're deep in the Europa. So do we need to take a risk? You could put him on, even if you put him on the bench, Sophie, and you don't even plan on bringing him on.
It's a threat.
And an opportunity comes where you could give him 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You might take that opportunity.
You might.
But do you even risk it, you know?
Kev, you might if you want him maybe to feature for 20 minutes at Fulham. You might. I don't know. I don't know if that's Arteta. I tell you something. He's proven he's not going to rush players back. Look at Emile Smith Rowe. Look what he did. He sub and then he got subbed. And that I felt was the right thing to do. We talked about that the other night. You got to be really careful with some of these injuries. Look at Thomas Partey. He was ready to come back. He stuck with Jorginho. Thomas is ready. Bosh. Halftime sub. He's out. Partey comes in. So
we're using our squad, aren't we? So we're showing a little bit more depth to our squad when somebody like Thomas Partey is fit and doesn't go straight back into the team.
Exactly.
When Jesus is fit and he doesn't go straight back into the team, I think that's a good sign.
Yeah, definitely. Well, look, it's great to see him. He's, making a great comeback and, he's great for the team. You see him on the sidelines. He's just always there. He's, him having to go into Portugal is a good thing to integrate him back into, the travel and getting on the plane and, injuries. You take all of those things into consideration. Mark B just put up there the muscle mass that he lost, Kev, that he's got to rebuild that and not only recover from the injury, but get his muscles strong again.
Oh, don't worry. All the tests.
Yeah.
He'll be getting tested left, right, and center because they'll have all the stats from before he was injured. They'll have muscle size, they'll have muscle strength, etc.
What about weight, Kev?
What about it? That'll be weekly. He'll usually get done weekly.
Have you, when you've been out for an injury, do you find you put on the weight easily, or does that only happen specifically?
It all depends, to be honest, because it depends on what you can. Because you lose muscle, weirdly enough, you get lighter. But it's when you start retraining again, because you tend to do full body. Then you get heavy. Then you get heavier. Because remember, the muscle mass moves from, let's say you lost it on your quad and you're putting muscle on all over the rest of your body, you kind of weigh heavier. But until you kind of rebalance the leg, but it's a fine balance. Do you do more on the leg that you lost the muscle mass on? You tend to find the standing foot is the stronger leg than your actual shooting foot, for instance. So there's a lot of things. These guys have got it down to a science. Sophie,
Yeah, they certainly do, Kev. They
They've got it
certainly
down to a
do.
science.
All right. Well, it's good to see Jesus back, and we're excited for what that might mean for the Arsenal Football Club going forward. Okay. Some rumblings, and I guess this is Kev and I did a show a few months ago where we talked about once the Arsenal get good again, because we were discussing how players have made an impact. Benjamin White, Aaron Ramsdale, Tommy Yasu, Martinelli, what their market
Odegaard.
value. Oh, Odegaard, like their sell-on value now. We actually have assets, which is incredible. One of the biggest assets we have is our manager. And the rumblings, once again, Real Madrid, Barcelona rearing their ugly, let's poach people's talent heads. And whether or not it's true, but La Marca love to get things rolling. Real Madrid are interested in our coach. There's no doubt Mikel Arteta benefited from time at the Arsenal. He's been able to build his portfolio and his CV in front of the world to see. And he did it falling flat on his face at the very beginning, turning the team around and showing not only is he a good in-game manager now and he's still growing and learning, but he's the type of manager that could take a club by the scruff of its neck, to use a cliche, Super Kev, and totally turn it around and rebuild it. And this is one thing that everyone should thank the Cronkies for, whether you're Cronky in or out, is the fact that they gave him the time and they showed him the belief and they've invested heavily in him. He has been able to start transitioning the club into all sorts of magical moments that we're seeing, from the Tottenham game at the Emirates to the Liverpool game at the Emirates to what we saw at Bournemouth last week. And I also think that Mikel Arteta is the type of manager that now is transitioning into pop culture, Kev. You get those managers every now and again that cross over. He's got a beautiful wife. They're a glamorous couple. I think that he's veering into this universe now that takes him from Arsenal manager to superstar manager. Now, winning the Premier League is going to solidify all of that, Kev. Does him winning the Premier League scare you that these other teams will come in for him even more aggressively? I mean, is he the type of manager that once he wins one, he wants to build a Wenger-type legacy? What's your take on Mikel, who's still young and has the world at his feet to manage pretty much anywhere at this point?
Well, I'm not frightened of anything with Mikel Arteta. I think having that relationship with the owners is very important. Obviously, when it was a bit of a roller coaster to start with, we saw ups and downs. But we always said it's about the players. And he's been given the license to change the dressing room, to change the players, to get a team out onto that pitch that matters, that the fans can relate to, that we all can be proud of. And it doesn't surprise me that the likes of Real Madrid or Barcelona or whatever were looking at him, but he's going nowhere. He's going nowhere. He started, he hasn't finished the build yet. We're still building. And it's going to take, a few players coming in, some of the players that are here might not be here in a few, in a season or two. Because the level of player and the trophies that we're going to be competing in will call for a different level of player. So, again, I'm not worried about. In fact, I welcome it. I welcome these clubs looking at the manager. Shows we're doing the right thing.
You know how people talk about rivalries? Pochettino said he would never go manage Barcelona because he was an Espanyol player. We've heard, lots of different managers. I don't want to go here. I don't want to go there. Kev, you would never have played for Tottenham. I think because you grew up in Arsenal. It's very different, like Darren Bent, who grew up an Arsenal fan but went and played for Tottenham. Could never see you or Jack Wilshere been asked the question a gazillion times. We asked him on our show. He would never, ever, ever have played for Tottenham. Do you buy into... Do you think that the hold is stronger for Mikel coming through La Masia and Barcelona than it is for Arsenal? Because I think people assume it is, but I don't necessarily think it has to be, in a sense that Arsenal is his now. And I'm not saying he's it, but he will have more impact and things to say at Arsenal than he would at Barcelona.
Well, Barcelona's his team, right? Barcelona's his team. He came through the football school, the education that is La Masia. Cool, he's a supporter. Of course, there's going to be the heartstrings there, the ties there. But Mikel Arteta, one thing he's done, he's proven that he's a professional.
Mm-hmm.
He knows Arsenal. He's been captain of Arsenal Football Club. He knows how it works. He's won with Arsenal as a captain. And he's one of the few managers in the league who's won a trophy. Let's be brutally honest. And I know it's just an FA Cup, but having that little taste, I'm sure it galvanized him to make sure I know what's needed. I know what I need to do. I know I need to change that cup side to a consistent league side. And look what he's doing. But no doubt about it. I mean, if it went sour, like we know it can at certain clubs, and if Barcelona were interested, I wouldn't think he would turn around and say, no, I'm not going to do it because I'm Arsenal manager, especially if it turns sour. Because we've seen things turn sour for managers. I just think Mikel Arteta is, and I've noticed this from early doors, he sets his stall out. He's got his plan, and he sticks to his plan. There's certain things in the dressing room that he's not allowed. You know, he's got the discipline is a key part. And like in anything, fans can question, early doors or whatever, but he knows what it takes. He knows what it takes, and it just goes to show, look what he's doing. Nowhere near the finished article yet, Soph, because I'm sure he wants Arsenal to be a juggernaut. He wants Arsenal to dominate. That's what he wants.
He certainly does. And Rebecca Lowe, host of NBC Premier League here in the US and all-round epic broadcaster, told us on this show, the time she's been around Mikel, you could tell he is obsessed with Arsenal. And I said this to Kev, and Kev was like, this is exactly what we want. We want him to be obsessed with Arsenal. And Rebecca even said, she said, when he does his to-do list, I think it's Arsenal, 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 wife. We want him to be obsessed.
Yeah, but that's you see, that is the, it can't be wife first, because that's the balance. The wife has to be the one who looks after home and the kids and all that kind of thing. He's the man. He's got to go to work. He's going to work. So listen, we're together here. You're going to work with me. She's worked with him for a long time. She knows how this thing works. Yeah, on a level, on a spiritual level, they're right there together. But this man has to go to work. So because, let's be honest, our club was a rudderless ship going in the wrong direction. It needed a manager, captain to come in to get the rudder fixed, to steer the ship in the right direction, to tidy it up, to get all the barnacles and all that off it, to clean it up, get the engines going again and get it moving. And that's what he's done. He's turned it around, and we're going now in the right direction.
Agree.
So, listen, for him to be able to do that, he's got to have a good wife at home. He's got to.
And look, Kev's talking about the fact that right now there are a lot of men who stay home and look after families, and women who go out and play sports and do all sorts of things. In this particular marriage, this is how it's been, and it's traditional for a lot of the times. It's like women do take on that role in football and have done for years and years and years, and he would never be able to do what he does without her. Kev will be able to tell you all of those things when you're playing at the highest level and you've got kids and you've got a family and everything. It is absolutely not the easiest.
No,
In
no,
life,
it's
it's
not.
not easy, is it? We're all trying to juggle something. Asfar Gunner, thanks for reminding people. Put something up saying there's no loyalty in football. Trust me, Arteta can move on in the near future. Facts. Will never be another Wenger or Sir Alex Ferguson. Well, I mean, we don't know that. And also, of course, he's only 40 years old. He might want to manage Barcelona. He may want to manage the Spain national team. He may want to do all of that, but he may want to be Arsene Wenger. George Graham went to Tottenham after, but I think a lot of Arsenal fans have just erased that from their memory. But if you're talking about pioneers of the club, that 71 double team was insane. There were some dark times, before some of the cup wins and, the championships in the 80s as well, Kev. We've talked about that on our show. But George Graham was the first to evolve the new Arsenal. Wenger then took it on, and now Arteta's taken it to another level. Here he is sandwiched in between two legends, Kev.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with him wanting if having that connection with Barcelona. He's not English, he's Spanish. So that's not a problem. And for us as fans, what would we prefer? Would we prefer him to do a little job here and swan off? Or would we prefer him to do a great job, whether it was for 5 years or whatever, and then he left? Looks like he's grooming the next potential. Fabregas is behind the scenes and Wiltshire's behind the scenes. Could be grooming the next managers.
And there's the Xhakas to come through, the El Nenis.
But I'm
there's
just
a
saying,
lot. Yeah,
I'm just saying on the coaching side, these guys, Jack Wilshere has, given up his playing career because he
Yes.
wants to learn. He
Right.
wants to learn, and he's got the under 18s and they're doing pretty well, etc., 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 etc. Who knows? But I truly believe, when you're a manager of note and you're a manager who is going in the right direction with a club and with the dynamic as it is, you do not let him leave by any stretch of the imagination. You do not. You got to keep these managers in to keep momentum moving forward, because we've seen it happen. So with managers, when managers leave clubs, so we've seen the energy just get sucked out.
I mean, we could go far back as, you think you make good decisions at the time. You could go back to Nottingham Forest back in the day, right? You could go back to, look at Tottenham and Pochettino. What have they really done since they let their young manager who took them to a Champions League final go? Instead of maybe building on what they did, they they let him go because they were 14th in the league. But you could see that they've still got those players and they've done nothing. And look at Thomas Frank at Brentford. Is he, if he leaves, what does that mean for a club like Brentford? He's been so impactful, hasn't he? You could even, like, those are the recent examples. Nuno got Wolves ticking. Okay, Kev, it happens all the time. It does. But you're right in the sense of loyalty. He's Spanish at the end of the day. He's not English. He's not from North London or anything like that.
He's got a connection with us, 100% he has. But he's not English. So, at the end of the day, he's coming, he's doing a fantastic job. He sells players the big picture. That tells me, Soph, he's planning to be around. Do you
Kev,
know what I mean?
totally.
He's planning to be around.
Totally. Maybe he's Jesus. You know what I mean? And his disciples are the ex-players. And basically what he's shown is who doesn't want to manage Arsenal? It went from the worst job in football to now becoming one of the best jobs. If you are a manager and in 2-3 years, Mikel wants to move on or whatever, and you're picking up this trail, if it sustains and continues, boy, that's quite the
But you
gig.
know something, Soph? Once you've built it, it's very difficult to go somewhere else and just build it again.
Mm-hmm.
Very difficult. Very few managers can do it. We've seen Pep try to do it. He's done it partly at Bayern. He's done it probably a bit better at City, but the Holy Grail keeps eluding him.
Yeah, it's the Champions League that he wants to solidify his greatness. Because
That's
when
right.
you look at, I mean, even the Mourinhos of the world, Capellos, the Jupp Heynckes, the multiple, the teams that have the managers that have won multiple times at the same team, but then also the managers that have gone on and won it in different countries for different clubs.
Ancelotti and all that.
Yeah,
Ancelotti,
Mourinho.
incredible.
I mean, you can't underestimate. I think something drives him, you guys, and it's not just to continually win the Premier League with Manchester City. He is a competitive man. He wants that Champions League desperately.
Obsessed.
He's obsessed with it.
You have
Absolutely.
to be obsessed. You have to, and that's what Mikel. That's the type of manager we've got. We've got an obsessive manager.
Yes, we do. And long may he stay at the Arsenal. And if he chooses to leave, it will be with fans' blessing. I'm sure there'll be a corner of the fan base that will lose their minds. But I don't think we're talking about this happening for a few other seasons. When you have a nucleus of Saka and Martinelli, and you've got Odegaard, and you've got Gabriel Jesus and Zinchenko, who are still only 25 years old. That's hard to find in football when you have that type of base. And, he helped create that base together with Edu. And I don't think he's going to want to give that up for someone to come in and take all the glory. Undoubtedly. Right. Brilliant stuff. It is, of course, today, Super Kev, International Women's Day. And by the way, I forgot to put this up. This was the 150 games, which I think everyone has seen a lot now. The most wins to 150 games, and Mikel Arteta was up there. I think this was done towards the end in November of 2022.
It's still incredible, isn't it?
It's incredible.
Still incredible.
Really is. It really is. A shout out to our Arsenal women who won the Conti Cup, and today is International Women's Day. We salute and celebrate
all the women, not just the footballers, all the women of the world, still here and gone. Thank you so much, beautiful women. And hey, listen, as we say in the business, usually the better halves. Right?
Yes, the better half.
Usually,
no doubt at all. I just want to put this final message up for Kev from John Mavroudis. Perfect redemption season. Ownership, Arteta, Xhaka, Reece, top four, home atmosphere, St. Totteringham's Day, league title, European trophy. What a time to be an Arsenal fan. And indeed, it is a great time to be an Arsenal fan. Super Kev, your prediction for tomorrow and your starting 11 real quick. Bust them out.
Jeez, starting 11, I have no idea. Turner, Tomiyasu.
Who are you playing at centre back, Kev? Are you going to...
I think Saliba will play. I think Kivior might play.
Mm-hmm.
And Zinchenko might play left back. If that ain't the case, then Tomiyasu might be left back and Ben White might be right back. Holding midfield, Jorginho will play there. I think Martin Odegaard will play. I think Granit Xhaka will play. I think Saka will play. I think Reece Nelson will play. And I think Martinelli will play down the middle.
All right. I love that. And your score prediction?
And the score, I'll go 2-1 Arsenal. 2-1.
2-1 to the Arsenal. Okay. I'm going to go for a 3-1 to the Gunners. And I like your team. I'm going to go with Super Kev's team. No doubt about that. Okay. Very cool. Thanks for stepping in for the late football show, you guys. We really appreciate it. Wanted to do something a little bit different tonight rather than get stuck into tactics and for the Europa League, but focus more on Jesus's return and the manager, who really has been one of the stars of the league this season. There's no doubt about that. You cannot deny it anymore. Super Kev, what is your parting message for the Squaddy Nation this evening?
Love is the currency. Remember, tell your loved ones you love them. Those people you haven't spoke to, reach out to them. Just drop them a text or a little message. Just do something to brighten somebody else's day. So whether that's today or tomorrow, you make sure you do it. And you know what day tomorrow is? Dicky Roll Thursday. So look after yourself, squaddies. Enjoy the game tomorrow. And all I can say to you is, squaddies, thanks for joining us. And at ease, squaddies.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.